Hey, thank you for tuning into my Minds channel. This is at the Real Beelzebub. Thank you for taking the time and listen to this story. This is way too close for comfort. This is when I was a young lad. It's before the turn of the century. I was young and dumb. Yeah, we discovered the 2-liter dry ice bomb. Now there's daring and there's complete stupidity. And the last thing my friend Roger and I wanted to do was hurt anybody, but we nearly blew the head off a complete stranger. It was just a couple of years after he graduated from Hammond High. It was the middle of the week, in the middle of October, and neither one of us had anything to do. We were still underage, so getting beer was still a bit of a challenge. Not that we couldn't get any, but it's just that we had the rest of the day to figure that out. Plus, we'll worry about that bridge when it's time to cross it. Besides, it's the middle of the day. We just woke up an hour ago. Woke up at the crack of noon. Now, this was during the era when we discovered how to construct dry ice bombs from plastic 2 liters with dry ice. Now, just like every other project we've ever constructed, we're once again in my father's garage. Now, Roger brought along some of the dry ice that he purchased on the way to my house. We smashed it up in a rag, placed it in the 2 liter. Now, right before we were going to put water in it, Sonny came up with, which at time I thought was a brilliant idea. Let's put some nuts and bolts in the 2 liter, I asked Roger enthusiastically. And I was dead serious. Dude, you'll have shrapnel flying all over the place. Roger answered back. You could kill someone. Well, we'll do it in my backyard and hide behind something, I said, trying to sound convincing that it'd work. Now, trying to convince Roger to do something against his better judgment was a chore in itself. But this didn't seem to take much effort. Roger thought about it. All right, but just a few, that's all. I don't want all kinds of shit flying everywhere. Sweet. Now, test try 1. Now, we threw a couple of nuts and bolts in the 2 liter, along with the dry ice. We decided to try this out with this new contraption of ours in the parkway next to the garage near the alley. We thought this would be better than the backyard, just in case any shrapnel does fly out. It won't break out the kitchen or bedroom windows. No, in the parkway, the only window at risk was the garage window, and that was made of plexiglass. We placed it in the middle of the parkway, not so close to the garage, Roger explained thoroughly. I placed the 2 liter in the center of the parkway, and with a small container of water, I slowly poured it in. The dry ice instantly began to dissolve into a gas. So I quickly screwed the cap on and took off for cover inside the garage. Roger slammed the garage door behind me, and we both headed for the garage window. It was taking a bit of a time, longer than usual. Did you screw the cap on tight, Roger asked. Yeah, pretty tight too, I answered. I don't understand. Now go out there and see. Now Roger was soon interrupted with such a loud boom that it rattled the paint cans in the garage. Oh my God, I stammered softly. I thought surely the police were going to be called. I mean, the station was nearly 150 feet away from the house. We both thought it'd be best if we waited in the garage a bit before we investigated the damage. That was pretty loud, Roger said to me with a smirk on his face. Yeah, louder than usual, I agreed. How much dry ice did you put in there, Roger asked. About half. Half? How much water did you put in? Not much, I explained. As soon as the gas started coming out, I capped it tight. Well, that's probably why it took so long to explode, Roger finally figured out. We waited another 5 minutes before we felt the coast was clear. We peeked out the garage door and looked around. Roger walked out in front of me and said, "It's cool." The 2-liter was totally destroyed. There wasn't a single trace of it. However, not a single nut or bolt went flying anywhere. There they were, in a little pile. "Well, so much for that idea," Roger said disappointingly. He stopped and turned and asked, he said, "Hey, we still have half a pound of dry ice, right?" "Yeah, why?" I asked. "Do we have another 2-liter?" "I think so." He said, "You want to scare some kids?" I knew exactly what he was getting at. "Hold on," I said. I was headed for the kitchen. "I'll be right back." Now, I live in a regular suburban neighborhood, all right, just like you see here. Nothing, regular class, middle class, nothing fancy. Okay, now, this is one of the scariest moments in my life. We decided to set the 2-liter in my front yard, about 2 or 3 feet away from the main public sidewalk. Hammond High School was about to let out soon, so we had time to time this just perfectly. I lived on Eaton Street, a common route that was taken by many of the Hammond High School students to and from school, not to mention a common route taken by Eggers Middle School students as well. We figured that if we did the same exact thing with this 2 as we did with the other 2-liter, we could time it where it would explode a good far distance away. And just at the right moment, will scare the hell out of everybody. Or so that was the plan. Now we hid on my front porch, about 25 feet away from the sidewalk. The porch was enclosed, and the windows were dingy, because we never cleaned them. In fact, if you didn't know any better, you would have thought my house was abandoned. Ain't that the truth? Now here come the first bunch of kids, I informed Roger in a whispered voice. "Okay, hold on," he whispered back. I don't know why we were whispering. It's not like they could hear us. Roger continued, "Let a few of them go by first, and then we'll toss it between a group of them." Now Roger looked out the window. "Get ready." Now, the first group of kids were walking by, taking their time. There were like 6 or 7 of them. "Now, pour the water in," Roger instructed me. "Here comes a gap." Now I slowly poured the water in, and the gas instantly began to release from the 2-liter. "Now cap it and toss it out, quickly." I capped it tightly and tossed it out toward the sidewalk underhand. Uh-oh. It rolled right next to the sidewalk. Right next to the sidewalk. Not 3 feet away from the sidewalk like we planned. It was right next to the sidewalk. Not good. This is not good at all. "Go get it," Roger told me. I could tell, he was a bit nervous, as so was I. "No way," I said back. "It might explode on me." And I was getting nervous as well. Then there was silence. But then we heard the next group of kids walking down the sidewalk. They were pretty loud and were doing a lot of horse playing. "Oh my God, dude," Roger started to explain. "It's too close. I don't know what it could do." I didn't know what to say either, so I just decided to peek out the window and watch the chaos unfold. Roger did the same. There it was, the 2 liter, just lying there. Any moment now, that 2 liter was going to let off such a tremendous boom that it'll scare the hell out of anybody within 50 feet, let alone right next to it. You gotta say something, Roger pleaded to me one last time. Sorry, it's too late. And it was. The group of kids came walking by the 2 liter, taking their time, talking to one another about whatever. I began to think that one of them was going to mistake the 2 liter as garbage and pick it up. My heart began to beat so hard. I looked over at Roger and saw that he was just sitting there shaking his head back and forth. He was dreading what was about to happen. I peeked over the windowsill and watched as the kids continued on. They were passing the 2 liter. They're about to pass the 2 liter, I said to Roger. It's going to be all right. It's going to be all right. Roger widened his eyes, turned around, and peeked out the window next to me. The kids kept on walking. There were about 10 or 12 of them. That's right. Keep going, Roger cheered to himself. Then it happened. Oh my God. What are they doing? Roger asked quietly but slightly hysterically. What the hell are they doing? I couldn't believe myself. The last 2 kids of the bunch, a boy and a girl, decided to wrestle on the grass right next to the 2 liter. The boy had the girl down on her back with her head inches away from the 2 liter. Roger and I both began to panic. We're going to kill her, Roger said in a calm, dreadful sounding voice. You have to say something. Say something. I can't, I answered in a panic. It's too late. Roger grabbed me by the arms of my coat and exclaimed, say something. Just then, the 2 of them got up and continued on the way, but not before the girl jumped on the boy's back as if he was giving her a piggyback ride. It's gonna be all right. Right after I finished that sentence, the 2 liter exploded. It startled Roger and I that we both turned our heads towards the explosion. We looked in awe and saw the boy dump the girl off his back and took off like a bat out of hell. The girl got up just as quick and followed close behind the boy. As a matter of fact, the explosion cleared the entire neighborhood. We saw school kids scatter all over the neighborhood. It was a scene I shall never forget. Lesson well learned, too, by the way. Anyway, thank you very much. I appreciate it very much for tuning in. This is my Minds channel. This is at The Real Beelzebub. Take it easy, y'all.